Hello and welcome. My name is Monica Emery. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for World Music. Thank you so much for joining us today, and a special thanks to those of you who made a donation in support of the Center for World Music and the musician you'll be hearing today. The coronavirus pandemic has meant a severe loss of income for musicians, dancers, and theater artists. If you didn't make a donation and you'd like to after this program, please visit centerforworldmusic.org/donate to show your support. We're excited to launch our first ever virtual series of music, dance, and discussion. We know that we can't recreate the energy that's unique to live performance, but we hope what we offer you today is new and valuable. As with all our programming, the goal of this series is to foster intercultural awareness and understanding through in-depth encounters with the world's performing arts traditions. We hope you will join us for all 6 of the musical traditions we've curated in this series. They include South India, Mexico, Vietnam, Iran, Southern Philippines, and Poland. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the California Humanities, the Commission for Arts and Culture of the City of San Diego, Rice and Haling Development Corporation, Jane Wheeler of Contemporary Madness, and Tap Lighting San Diego. Now let me introduce to you Center for World Music Board President Tim Rice, UCLA Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Ethnomusicology. Tim?
Thank you, Monica, and welcome everyone to the Center for World Music's new series, Virtual Encounters with World Music. Today, we're delighted to welcome K.S. Resmi, a wonderful vocalist in the tradition of classical music from South India. Today, Resmi divides her time between San Diego and Baltimore, but in India, she has trained for more than 35 years with some of its most distinguished artists, including Dr. K. Omanakutty and Guru Lalitha Shiva Kumar. She has more than 19 CDs to her credit, and she's toured extensively in India, Europe, and the United States. She's joined today by her husband, N. Scott Robinson. Scott is a percussionist and ethnomusicologist. He holds a PhD from Kent State University, and he's chair of the San Diego Mesa College Music Department. He has his own distinguished record of performance with leading artists in classical music and jazz and famous musicians from India, the Middle East, Bulgaria, and Brazil. I'm delighted to welcome K.S. Resmi and N. Scott Robinson.
Thank you, Monica and Tim. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Center for World Music's virtual event featuring K.S. Resmi. My name is N. Scott Robinson. I'm the chair of the music department at San Diego Mesa College, and I'll be your host for this event today. A little bit about what we're going to do. We're going to show a series of videos featuring Resmi's music from South India, and in between those we'll have live discussion and interview to discuss her music and culture. Below the video description, if you'd like to follow along, a program is available that has translations and the lyrics and pictures of traditional instruments. If you just visit that link at any time during the program, you can access that program. Also in the chat, you can ask questions at any time and we'll address those in the discussion portions. To help us create a sense of community, if you'd like to say hello and mention where you were from in the chat, that would be very much appreciated. Resmi, could you introduce the first song for us, please?
The first song is Puranapana Puranatham. It is Carnatic music from South India. It's classical music and this is composed music. The composer is Sri Nelliodu Vasudevan Nambudiri. Melody and background score is given by Dr. K.S. Harishankar. This song is on Hindu god Ganesh. He believed as the remover of obstacles. So traditionally when we start a concert with a prayer offering to Lord Ganesha, and this song is in praise of Ganesha, a historic temple called Paravangadi Ganapati Temple at Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, where I'm coming from. Our music system have different types of compositions. So this is a kriti, a type of art form.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Please enjoy Puranapana Puranadam.
गजाननं गतशरणार्तिनाशनं नगाल्मजानयनचकोरिकाधरम् अजादिवासवमुखकल्पकाननं नमामि तं गणपतिम् पुराणापण पुरनाथं पुराणापण पुरनाथं पुराणापण पुरनाथं पुराणापण पुरनाथं प्रणमामि गणनाथं 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 पुराणापण पुरनाथं पुरारितनयं वरगुरुसहजम् पुरारितनयं वरगुरुसहजं पुरारितनयं वरगुरुसहजं वज्रविमुखसुरनिगरनिषेव्यं वज्रविमुखसुरनिगरनिषेव्यं सनि प नि प ग प ग रि ग रि सा सनि प नि प ग प ग रि ग रि सा ग रि प ग रि प सनि रि सा सनि प नि प ग प ग रि ग रि सा ग रि प ग रि प सनि रि सा रि ग नि सा रि प नि सा ग प नि रि ग प स रि ग रि सा ग रि प ग रि प सनि रि सा ग रि प ग रि सा नि प 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 ग रि सा नि प नि सा रि ग प नि सा रि ग सा नि सा प प नि ग पुराणापण पुरनाथं प ग रि सा नि प 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 ग रि सा नि प नि सा रि ग प नि सा रि ग सा नि सा प कलशाम्बुहृदं काकाकारं करुणापूरं कलशोद्भवधृत कलशाम्बुहृदं काकाकारं करुणापूरं पुनरपि पूरित मुनिवरकलशं दूरिदं पावनचरितं मोदगामोदमोदितहृदयं पावनरूपं पावनभुवनं विविधपुराणविलेखनचतुरं वेदव्यासचितं हितदातं मोदगामोदमोदितहृदयं पावनरूपं पावनभुवनं विविधपुराणविलेखनचतुरं वेदव्यासचितं हितदातं सनि पग पगरि गरि स रि स गरि पगरि प सनि रि स सनि प नि पग पगरि गरि स रि स गरि पगरि प सनि रि स रि ग नि स रि प नि स ग प नि रि ग प स रि ग रि स गरि पगरि प सनि रि स गरि पगरि स नि प पगरि स नि प पगरि स नि प पगरि स नि पगरि स नि प नि स रि ग प नि स रि ग स नि स प प नि ग पुराणापण पुरनाथं पगरि स नि प पगरि स नि प पगरि स नि प पगरि स नि पगरि स नि प नि स रि ग प नि स रि ग स नि स प प नि ग पुराणापण पुरनाथं प्रणमामि गणनाथं पुराणापण पुरनाथं
And we're back with K.S. Resmi and the Carnatic music of South India. Resmi, I wanted to ask you about one of the basic principles of your music, and that is the raga. A raga being a set of pitches that go together as a set that forms the basis of a lot of the compositions that you perform.
Yeah.
What was the raga for that first piece?
Hamsadhwani.
Hamsadhwani. And what does that term mean?
Hamsa means swan. Dhwani means sound. So I don't know how beautifully swan sings, but we have traditionally animals and birds are associated to gods and goddesses, and swan is associated to goddess Saraswati, who is the goddess for wisdom and music. So, and this is a very beautiful raga, and it picks up the mood very quickly. So when we sing at the beginning of the concert, it's a really good feel it gives. And many Ganesha compositions you find in this raga.
Now, in Western music, we can demonstrate scales with a series of syllables for the pitches, things like do, re, mi. Could you also demonstrate the ragas of India with solfege syllables?
Yes, for us, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa are solfege. And here is Hamsadhwani. Sa, re, ga, pa, ni, sa, ni, pa, ga, re, sa.
Wonderful. Now, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was languages in your music. What language was that in the first piece?
The first piece was Sanskrit.
Sanskrit.
Yeah.
So this isn't all that different than what European opera singers have to do, because they sing in typically German and French and Italian and sometimes English. What languages do Carnatic singers sing in?
We use Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Sanskrit, Hindi.
Now, in the audience, we have a question from Bao No, who asks you, what were some of the traditional instruments in that first piece?
The traditional instruments are veena, mridangam, I'm not sure, khadam, I haven't.
Veena and
Veena
mridangam. Veena is a stringed instrument, mridangam
Yes.
is a drum.
Yes.
And let's move on to our second song, Ishane. Could you introduce that for us, please?
Yeah, the title is Ishane Koti Surya Prakashane. This song salutes Lord Shiva as the Lord of Dance at the Chidambaram temple. Chidambaram is an ancient temple, Shiva temple located in Tamil Nadu. Composer is Muthu Tandavar, a 16th century Tamil poet. He lived in Sirkari, Tanjore district. According to a priest's advice, he went to Chidambaram to attain salvation from his ills, and there he composed many songs in praise of Lord Shiva. Tirupambaram Swaminatha Pillai, a flutist, was the one who set music to all of his songs, but this particular song is set to music by my guru, Srimati Lalita Shivakumar.
Please enjoy Ishane.
ईशने कोटि सूर्य प्रकाशने कनकसभ 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 ईशने कोटि सूर्य प्रकाशने சிவகங்கையில் நனையும் கொடிய தீவினை உய்யவே ஆளாய் சுத்தியன வணங்க வஞ்சமதியில் என்றாலும் உமாபதியே ஸ்துதியன வணங்க வஞ்சமதியில் என்றாலும் உமாபதியே நம்பினேன் சிவகதி தந்தன்னையாளாய் சபாபதியே நம்பினேன் சிவகதி தந்தன்னையாளாய் ஈஸ்வரே கோடி சூரிய பிரகாசனையே கனக சபை ஈஸ்வரே கோடி சூரிய
And we're back with K.S. Resmi and the music of South India. Resmi, could you tell us what the raga is for that piece?
Nalina Kanti.
Nalina Kanti, and what does that term mean?
Nalina means lotus flower, and Kanti means loveliness or beauty.
Now, could you sing this in solfege syllables up and down just to get a sense of the rag for us?
Yeah, sure. Sagari ma pani sa, sani pa mari gari sa.
Thank you. That's really wonderful. Now, there's some things about your music that I was wondering about, and some in the audience have already complimented you on the arrangements of these pieces. And I wanted to ask you about what I'm hearing that sounds familiar to me as a Western musician, and yet there are also things that are very traditional, obviously, to India. So could you tell us about this piece, what was traditional about it and what was modern?
Most of the instruments are traditional, such as veena, violin, mridangam, one of the drum, and kadam. It's a clay pot from South India. And the way of singing is traditional, and also it's composed, and the little bends and slides all composed. And what modern about this is the arrangement, the instrumentation and arrangement. It's kind of trendy nowadays to have this kind of mixed background score. This helps elevate the mood of the music and reach wider audience. The modern instruments are guitar, synthesizer, strings, bass.
Now, in the audience, we have some questions in the chat. Todd Roach is asking, is there an album of this music available?
No, I'm working on it. It's available in YouTube, and it will. If you write me, eventually once we put it in an album, I can send it to you. Hi, Todd.
So you're working on a visual album you've got 3 or 4 tracks done.
Yes.
And then Dennis Hacklar asks about the difference in sound production and the way that Carnatic vocalists sing, and say, if you were to compare that to opera singers in Europe who have a very loud kind of ability, in the way that they make a sound. Could you tell us about the way that you sing?
It's singing. It's the same way. Like we have to use the belly, navel area, and the chest and throat, all the head region. And I think the difference is that the language and how we sing each note. It's a lot depending on the training, how we sing. It's a lot of training. It's different training.
Would you like to introduce the next piece for us?
Marataka Manivarna, yes. The composer for Marataka Manivarna is Sri M.P. Gobinathan Nair, And the melody is given by his wife and my guru, Dr. K. Omana Kutiyamma. And the background score is done by Dr. K. S. Harishankar, their grandson, and well-known Indian playback music singer. And this song features a classical Bharatanatyam dancer, Devaki Rajendran, who performs the story of the lyrics. And this is a Carnatic bhajan in the ragam Bhageshri, and the language is Malayalam and the talam is Adi.
So please enjoy Marataka Manidvarna.
मरतक मणिवर्णा साधु हृदय विहारा 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 कालिय भाणी भण कालिय भाणी भण नर्तन लीला कालिय भाणी भण नर्तन लीला कालिय मादहरा कालिंदी विषहरा कालिय मादहरा कालिंदी विषहरा यमुना तीर विहारी राधा हृदय विहारी यमुना तीर विहारी राधा हृदय विहारी नालिकलोचन नादसुधाधाम
Welcome back, everyone. From the audience, we have a question, Reshmi, about the stringed instrument that you were seen playing in that last clip.
It's called tambura. That's the drone instrument we use.
And it's not uncommon that singers will accompany themselves on the tambura in your tradition.
We use that. That is the original instrument, tambura. And then later on, Shruti box, the electronic Shruti box came. Then now we use apps.
The portability of the phone versus the tambura won out. There's a question for myself. Am I playing percussion in these videos? No, I'm not. But later at the end of the program, there is a piece where I am, so you get to hear that later in the program. Reshmi, I wanted to ask you about the significance of the Bharatanatyam dancer in your last piece and the location. Throughout that video, you see the dancer in a prison cell, and dancers, when they are dancing to Carnatic music, they are often expressing the story of the lyrics. So could you tell us a little bit about the story of that song?
This song beautifully portrays love and longing of a devotee searching for emerald-hued Krishna. And this song is a humble dedication in loving memory of Sri M.P. Gobinathan Nair. And the location is called Mitra Niketan nowadays, and it is a Amma Vida, we call it. It's built by the king for his son, according to historian Manu Pillai. And but there are a lot of stories goes around that building from the locals, saying that there was a dancer. She was the one very favorite dancer for the king, and then she was Maharaja. The king gave that place to that dancer, and she got pregnant, and he couldn't accept that marriage, so they say that they put her into the prison, and then she got killed there. So people are still afraid to go there. But for this particular song, with the situation, that longing, and then the lover is in the prison of love and longing for Krishna. So the director thought that will be an apt location to shoot this song.
And in that piece, there's also sounds that are familiar to Western listeners. Could you tell us what is sort of traditional and modern about that piece?
This evokes Krishna. Flute is his favorite instrument. So flute as the main instrument with veena. The percussion is a mixture of North Indian and South Indian music, tabla and kadam. And what else? And modern about is that synthesizer, bass, piano used in this one.
Now, let's talk about how you learned this music. Could you tell us how you got started learning Carnatic music?
I started learning music when I was 2 years old. My mom says that I started talking very clearly, speaking like when I was 1 year old. My father, O.K. Kunyan, and my mother, M. Saraswati, they both were high school teachers, and my parents didn't know that I sing. So I used to, because they have to work, they used to drop me at the nursery school. I don't know what called over here. And so there, my teacher one day told my parents that your daughter sings very beautifully. So my father said, we never heard. So they came next day, and they came, they hide behind the door, and they listened how I am singing. And they were very surprised and happy. And I was singing the songs that I heard in the radio. My dad used to play the radio all the time. And then my father decided to take me to the music teacher. The teacher is my first guru who initiated me to music. My guru's name is Lakshmi Ammal. And when I was 9 years old, my father wanted me to learn more professionally, and so he wanted me to take me to Omenakutti teacher, but we didn't know teacher. So one of his friend, Rajarathinam Pillai, a Nagasuram player, so he introduced us to Omenakutti teacher. And then that time I only took once a week lesson. My mom used to take me over there, and then When I was 13 years old, my teacher decided to take me for her concert tours. For that, I needed more intense training. So for that, I moved in with my teacher. It's called Gurukula system of learning. It's an ancient tradition. Still, it continues some parts of India for music, dance, martial arts, and spiritual learning. And I myself, coming from a family of like over 10 generations, taught Kalaripaita, martial art from Kerala. So I was familiar with the Gurukula style of teaching.
And how long did those lessons last?
22 years.
22 years.
Yeah.
Now, are you still studying today?
Yes.
And who is your guru today?
Srimati Lalita Shivakumar.
Now, you've been in America for the last 15 years, and she's in India, so how are you still studying?
At the beginning, my teacher used to call me over phone because she was not using Skype at that time. And then eventually, my teacher started using Skype, and then now we take lessons through Skype.
So, as far as learning goes, let's introduce the next song, because this features one of your students, Isha Basur, who has learned primarily through you through online learning. So, could you introduce the next song, please?
Yeah. This song is called Bharu Krishna. It's composed by Kanakadasa, a 16th century composer. It's in Kannada. It's about Krishna at Udupi temple in Karnataka. And it's a Ragamalika. Ragamalika is a type of composition, uses multiple ragas in one song. But this is an excerpt from the piece, which has a single raga, and this is sung by my student Isha Basur, and the electric violin is by Rupa Revati. And this song is an example of what level someone can achieve with their dedication and practice with remote learning. Here we go, Isha.
Please enjoy Bharu Krishnaya.
Bharu Krishna, Bharu Krishna, Krishna, Bharu Krishna, Ninna Bhaktaramane Giga Krishna, Bharu Krishna. అందుకే పటకావు కాలొందికే కేరోగేచే ధిమ్ ధిమి ధిమి ధిమి
Thank you, Isha Basura. That was a wonderful performance. Isha is here with us in the chat. If you would like to ask her a question directly, you can do so in the chat. Chris McKenna asks us in the audience about the tala of that piece. Could you demonstrate what the hands are doing?
Tala is, the name of the tala is Adi, and it's 8 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So that's similar to what a conductor does in front of an orchestra in Europe, where they are sort of showing the beat to the musicians.
Yes, here we use our right hand to put talam, and our percussionist sit on our right side. So he's following us, the violin, everybody. So we have to show that very clearly. So that's how we all goes together with the rhythm wise.
Now let's talk about how Isha learned, because she didn't move in with you and you didn't get up at 4 a.m. to teach her every day. So how did Isha Basura learn from you, with her in Texas and you in Maryland?
Isha didn't move in with me, but we spent a lot of time together. Because it's online, it's easy to find a time to work each other. So parents doesn't have to drive or fly to me. So we did, we planned out all our practice and rehearsal, like all that through that way. And then the teaching is traditional methods with modern delivery. And I came here 14 years ago after marriage. And then before I came back to settle here, I was a full-time tenured faculty member at University of Madras, Department of Indian Music. So 14 years ago, I started the first online Carnatic music school in this country. It's called Carnatic Music America, Karma. And we have students from all over the world. We have affiliations with the universities for certificate credit. When a student comes to learn Indian music and dance, it takes many years for them to master over it. So usually when a student joins with me and they stay until they go to college, or even after that, it's a long time to be with a teacher. It takes time to understand each other and work more deeply. They become part of family, and I get to be part of the team of raising them too. Each kid is unique, and it does take time, but it's a beautiful journey we take with music, studies, discipline, culture, and life. And Indian parents are very keen and dedicated, keeping the culture alive, culture and traditions alive, beyond any religious beliefs. It doesn't matter whichever part of the world they live. They always support the music and arts.
Now we have time for just one last piece to conclude our program today. Could you introduce that for us?
It's Om Namah Shivaya Gurave. It is salutations to the gurus, and this is a dedication to my mother, my first guru, my parents, my father, and all the beautiful people, my gurus, and all the beautiful people here listening us today. And details about the song, Scott will explain.
Well, let me ask you, is it uncommon for musicians in India to play with musicians from different cultures?
No, we in India, like South Indian musicians and North Indian musicians, they play together. It's called Jugal Bandi. And there are South Indian musicians plays with Western musicians, and that's we call fusion, and North Indian musicians plays with the Western musicians. So we have that.
Yeah, we have that term fusion here in America for a style of jazz, when jazz musicians use elements from rock music or funk music or ethnic music and sort of play with those ideas mixed together. So this is an example of Indian fusion. In this piece, I am playing the Mbira Zavidzimu, which is an instrument that's traditional of the Shona people in Zimbabwe. And this instrument is tuned in the Dambatsoko tuning from the Mujuru clans region. And it's very similar to a raga in your music. What's that raga?
Shankarabharanam.
Shankarabharanam. And that's roughly similar to the A major scale in Western music. Now, we have with us our guest flute player, Mark Holland. Eventually, Reshmi and I developed this piece, and Mark recorded it with us, where he plays the Bansuri flute and the Native American flute. So the story behind this is, one day I was playing the mbira, and a little piece of a Shona tune, and the jazz musician in me, I've always been very curious about indie musicians and their renowned ability to improvise. So I said, Reshmi, let's improvise. Why don't you try to sing over this, And she listened to it and heard the similarity of the notes on the mbira to her raga and began to sing this tune. And then I encouraged her and said, look, why don't you take it in solo, let's jam, take a solo like a jazz tune. So she improvised in the Carnatic vocal style. So this recording was originally on a CD that Mark Holland and Reshmi and I did called Lost in the Beauty of It All. And the group at that time is called Wind and Fire. If you're curious about this track, you could get this CD from Reshmi. You can write to her website, which is www.ksresmi.com. That's ksresmi.com. You could also get it from our guest Mark Holland, who's in the chat. So if you have a question, you can direct it to him about his flute playing. And his website is autumnschild.com. So the Lost in the Beauty of It All is available from both of Reshmi and Mark. We have another audience question asking me if I ever study mbira, and yes, I did, briefly with Shona musicians Cosmos Magaya and Chaka Chawasarira. I studied the mbira Zavidzimu, Matepe, and the Karimba. So please enjoy Om Namah Shivaya Guru Vaye.
Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprabhanjaya Shandaya Niralambaya Tejasi Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye pada pa ma ga ma pa da ni sa ri ga ma ga ni ri ga ma ga 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 ma ga ka ri ga ma ga ka ri ga ma ga ga ri ri sa sa ni ri ri sa sa ma ma ga ga ri ri sa sa ni da ni ri ga ma ga 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 ma ri 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 pa ma ga ri sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa ni da pa da ri sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa ni ri 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 ga ma ga ri sa ni da ni ri sa ni da pa da da ni ri sa sa da ni sa sa ni ri sa sa ri ga 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 ma ma ri ga ga sa ri ni sa sa ni da ni ri sa sa ni da pa da da ni sa sa ni da pa da pa Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shandaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye
Well, that concludes our program for today. Reshmi, do you have any last thoughts for the audience?
Thank you all for being here with us. Thanks to Center for World Music, and thank you Monica, Emery, and your wonderful team. Thanks to my husband, Dr. N. Scott Robinson. Thanks to Deepthi S. Pillai and Bhargavi Shankaran for the song translation.
I'd like to thank Leonard Patton for his technical assistance in this program, Monica Emery for her assistance in editing the Om Namah Shivaya video, which is a world premiere today, and the esteemed Dr. Tim Rice and the Center for World Music in San Diego. We very much hope that you will continue to support them by coming to see these programs and spreading the word and perhaps even making a donation. Thanks also to all the sponsors for today for making this opportunity available to us, and thank you all for tuning in. We very much appreciate to be able to share our music and culture, and we hope to see you again. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your music and I learned a lot from your presentation, and I'm sure our audience did as well. Monica, please tell us how we can show our appreciation for these wonderful musicians.
Thanks, Tim. This series was made possible through the sponsorship of individuals, businesses, and grants from the California Humanities and the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture. But their generosity isn't enough, so we're looking to viewers like you to donate whatever you can to help the Center for World Music support these amazing musicians and the traditions that they represent. If you'd like to make a donation at this time, please visit centerforworldmusic.org/donate. And please take a moment to note our sponsors who've made this series possible. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.